View College. I am Councillor Jalen Rupnarain, and I am a proud representative for the electoral district of Kirep-Paji. I am here tonight with my UNC sister, Alderman Diane Bishop, but we know her as Smalley. Together, we will be taking you through this evening's program. Our first speaker is a true stalwart of our great party, a dedicated UNC soldier who has been the forefront at every struggle to bring good governance to Trinidad and Tobago through effective local government representation. It is my honor to welcome to the platform my UNC brother, Councillor for Kora Paradise Takarigwa, Mr. Sukhdev Prakash Bharat, better known as Councillor Praki.
Put the guns them down. So it was some understand. Put them down. Put them away now. Understand.
Political leader, United National Congress, the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar, all members of parliament who are here today, councillors, aldermen, and activists. Today we are at Hillview College, my alma mater. And as you know, Hillview College is nestled in the foothills of the Northern Range and a beautiful, wonderful school. As you also know, Hillview has produced over the years many, many professionals in many spheres of life, be it doctors, lawyers, nurses, whatever it is, and especially politicians. Well, I am one also, and I think Mr. Indal Singh also, if he's here, sitting in Parliament right now, came from Hillview College. It is an honor, on behalf of my district, Kora Paradise Takarigwa, to address you for a couple minutes. The United National Congress is not only a party, it is a way of life for us. Because we believe in service with the United National Congress, there is no other party in Trinidad and Tobago that can serve the people better than the United National Congress. Do you agree? The United National Congress, under the wonderful, beautiful, magnificent leadership of Kamla Persad-Bissessar, cares about people first and foremost, not so Senator Nakhid. Cares about people. Rowley don't care about nobody. Rowley don't care about nobody. Kamla Persad-Bissessar, our loving leader, has shown Trinidad and Tobago how much he cares for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And the people of Trinidad and Tobago saying to everyone now, we need her to return to the powers in the corridor of power. Not so. And how is that going to be possible? It's going to be possible by you registering once again your support for the United National Congress. I'm an elected representative, for the last 3 years in the corporation, TPRC, Tunapuna-Piako Regional Corporation. It has been difficult 3 years, hard 3 years. Smalley will tell you that. Jalen Rupnarain will tell you that. Richard Rampersad, who's here, will tell you that. Most of those 3 years, we got nothing. COVID came in just after we were elected in 2019, December. And by 2020 March, on my birthday actually, we got the first case of COVID. And it was bad for 2.5 years, into 3 years. Most of our work could not be done. There was no material. There was no money to buy equipment. And so we had to struggle. But the UNC always find a way to get things done. We always found a way to serve our burgesses. And so some of the work that we did, some of the paving work that I would have done in my district was, we did some streets like Lakpat Road, paving projects, Braffett Street, Mead Street, Pentecostal Street, George Wood Park, Achong Street. We also did some patching in Mohammed Street, Ramla Street, Cassie Street, Kora Road, Goya Street, Karama Street, St. Cecilia Street. We did many drainage projects, Peters Road, Achong Trace, Cassie Extension, Mead Street, where we did a whole pavement. In Concordia, we built a bridge that the PNM had built that was only causing flooding. And through my hard work and determination, we were able to break that bridge and rebuild a Bailey Bridge that is assisting the people of Kora so that they will not have flooding and great losses every single time when rain falls and flooding takes place. Currently, we are undertaking many small projects throughout the district of Kora Paradise, Tacarigua. Because of the PNM and the lack of funding, our curb walls, our sidewalk have been broken up. And only because in the last year or last couple of months, we have been able to get some material, we have been able to do some patching works and some remedial works. WASA has been another problem. The government under WASA, Minister of Public Utilities, is just a shame and disgrace under WASA. We as councillors have had to suffer under WASA. Leaks appearing all over this district and all the other districts, not being repaired for months. For months, Senator, for months. We have continued been bringing this to the attention of WASA. Fortunately, through my representation, we were able to get a new pump system for the upper bamboo people who for years had no water in their taps, and run new lines in the upper bamboo area. Ensuring that all leaks are managed and fixed is a thing that we would normally, under the UNC in 2010 to 13, I was a councillor then. And if a leak appeared today, by tomorrow morning, repaired. How come under the PNM, after 2015 onwards, 7 long years, 8 years going, a simple thing like a road cannot be patched, a water leak cannot be fixed? Is it time to get the PNM out? We have to get the PNM out. And your support here today will ensure that. When COVID-19 came in 2019 and 2020, many people suffered greatly under the PNM. Many of you would have filled out forms for COVID-19 relief. Up to today, MP Moonilal, many people in my district, sad to say, have not received that funding. Sad to say, after 3 years, no funding. But we still helped. And all the councillors, we did hampers for nearly 2 years. Monday, Senator Nakhid will attest. Monday, from Sunday to Monday, 7 days a week, 2 years, we were on the ground. That is what the UNC does. That is the action of the UNC. PNM will never do that. We never saw the PNM doing that. They withheld the funding for the COVID relief. Many people weren't able to get that funding. And so today, through MP Ameen, who helped me, because I don't have an MP, and MP Ameen was able to assist me with many food hampers, the food support program. And these people were so appreciative of this food support. Because I'll tell you something as a councillor. First-hand knowledge. If all you don't know, I know it. It have real poor people under the PNM. They're making paupers out of us. When Kamla, under her regime, 2010 to 15, we were able, on People's Partnership programs, and under the People's Ministry of the People, we were able to feed people, to bring social programs to people, to assist people with housing, to assist people. Moonilal will tell you how many housing projects all over the country. Under the PNM, nothing is taking place. I know just a few minutes I'm kind of closing off here, because I really get into the meat. But I just want to say three little stuff here. I am asking you all, please, build the road from Kora that I've been asking since 2010. The traffic situation is bad. It is terrible. Build the road from Kora to 5 Rivers. Please, build that road, MP4. You're wasting everybody's time. Come on, you're just wasting everybody's time. Let us get back our leader in power. Build a roundabout. Build a roundabout at Orange Grove and the Eastern Main Road to ease the traffic. Open the early childhood center in El Dorado, for God's sake. Open the early childhood center, please. I'm begging him, begging MP, open it. You're suffering the children. Activists, I'm telling you all, they're going to build a housing project in Kora. We don't need no housing project in Kora. Shut down the housing project. Build a primary school. Only one primary school we have in this area here. Build a private school for our children and build a road. Look, my time up, I really could talk all night to it. But let me tell you something. We have a great leader. We have a powerful leader. We have a magnificent leader. We have a loving leader. We have a caring leader. And I want to tell you all today, let us return Kamla Persad-Bissessar, United National Congress, to the corridors of power. We take charge. We'll beat them in the east. We'll beat them in the north. We'll beat them in the south. We'll beat them in the west. Good night and God bless.
Benjai, what you say? Don't fake now. This is what the measurement say. There's too much killing going on. And then on astray.
Tunapuna, good night. Good night, Tunapuna. UNC and proud. Love in the house. Thank you, Councillor Praki. Our second speaker is a distinguished national athlete who has been a fearless advocate for youth, poverty, alleviation, and social equity. He has represented Trinidad and Tobago since the age of 17 years, served as the captain of our national football team, was chosen as the Caribbean MVP several times, and was twice named the National Player of the Year. Please welcome to the UNC Monday Night platform, our very own Senator David Nakhid, the King.
This is a message to the nation. Put the guns them down. But we want some understand. Put them down. Put them away now. Understand. Yo, Mr. Marshall, Benjai, what you say?
All the time, Senator Leader. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. UNC family. UNC family. UNC family, this is the 12th day of fasting. And I have a hunger. Not for food. I have a hunger for justice. This is the 12th day of fasting. And I have a thirst. Not for water, but for social equity. I feel it. I want it. And under Kamla Persad-Bissessar, we will get it. This hunger must reach to every section of Trinidad and Tobago. This thirst, which symbolizes our deprivation in the month of Ramadan, should stretch across the country as we empathize with the people who don't fast in the month of Ramadan, but all throughout their lives, they are fasting because of this wicked, incompetent PNM government. They have nothing to eat. People are suffering, and we know this suffering is real. We know this suffering is real. Despite all the facilitators of this PNM government, that they try to hide, they try to mask, they try to cover, we in the UNC, who meet the people on the ground, who represent the realities of Trinidad and Tobago as we see it, there's a hunger, there's a thirst. And it's not about the month of Ramadan. And you know where it comes from? Funnily enough, when we look at the statistics, brothers and sisters, when we look at what PNM, under this Keith Christopher Rowley, has done, is deny their own constituencies, their own people up and down the East-West corridor, involved in the highest level of crime. And why? Why? We have the most incompetent, droopy-headed Minister of National Security in the history of the Caribbean, Fitzgerald Hines. What is his response? His response is to say that our people Our people watching too much porn. In other words, he defied every single directive, every single study and data issued by the United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime, which indicates that the cause of crime is what? Poverty. You don't have, you'll find a way to have. Does not make sense to you? Isn't that common sense? But the fundamentals of government escapes this PNM. It escapes Keith Christopher Rowley. The fundamentals. So when economist Roger Hussain says, low economic activity has led us to high rate of crime, what Fitzgerald say? No. He said no. The youth's watching too much porn. Well, that's what Heinz doing. Heinz must be watching too much porn. Because we could call that the pornographic national movement. That's not a joke. We have a PNM. If they examine their own record, it's a perverted party. It's a perverted institution. So don't blame Ola Christopher when she talk about evil stalking the land. But what we could tell Ola Christopher, name the evil stalking the land. Name the evil stalking the land. When Jason Gordon talk about we must make sacrifices as a people, tell Jason Gordon our people sacrificing for the last 8 years. 8 years our people sacrificing. They can't see the way. You've never seen a people like people of Trinidad and Tobago sacrificing, burning their belly. And you know what? The facilitators of the PNM is what is encouraging people like Keith Christopher Rowley to keep doing what he's doing, which is no public policy. No policy at all, actionable or deliverable for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. You all remember when they killed those boys in Mova? When the people of Mova Lavantil rioted? You all remember the response of Keith Christopher Rowley? Immediately, same puppy show, same lie. When they talked about mendacity, that is Rowley. When they talk about lying evil, that is Rowley. Don't get confused. The devil will come and evil will come, roaring and talking big and bad. You know. What he does, he makes you come down to his level, mediocre. And that is Rowley governance. There's a really subpar, mediocre government. They come with an economic recovery committee. Has anybody seen one policy that came out of that committee for the good of the people of the East West Corridor? Nothing. Nothing. You know why? Nothing for the African and Indian people of the East West Corridor. Nothing. Nothing for the African and Indian people in the rural areas. But they could find what? 100 million for where? Balize House. And you know what? Forget Rowley. Forget Rowley. You know why? The evil will do what evil does. We are to worry about who facilitates that evil. So you cannot tell me our independence institutions or religious organizations who know that there's evil taking place under Keith Christopher Rowley and they sanction it. They sanction it. They even endorse it. They support it. Why? They're afraid of this bully called Keith Christopher Rowley. What are we to do? We have to stand up and fight. Every day of our lives, we have to stand up and fight against this government. 100 million while people cannot get a food grant. 100 million when people can't get scholarships. 100 million when people can't get a hamper. When they get hampers, they say the needy and the greedy. Donald Cox. 100 million. Go along the East-West Corridor. Every single bus stop on the East-West Corridor is a what? A hotel for the homeless. Well, you know yourself, you can't go and sit in a bus stop. Somebody make that their home. Who you gonna blame them? What we paying taxpayers money for this government? And we're only proud when we ask him, account for that 100 million for Balize House. We tell you, what we doing in PNM business. That is not your business. That is the business of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Where that 100 million comes from. Because you know what? The people of Trinidad and Tobago, they have realized. It ain't about the African and Indian with Keith Rowley. With Keith Rowley, it's about this. money. How he can make money for him and his financiers. That's all Keith Rowley is about. So while we fighting in African Indian, Keith Rowley and who? His people. Laughing all the way to the bank. And I'll tell you what. They even have a P&M stalwart. What's his name, Arnold? Furry Ferrer. Come out and what he tell us? He tell us, he will take Rowley to his word when he say he built Balize house with raffles. The only two people in the history of the world who ever take Rowley to his word is Furry Ferrer and a woman 40 years ago, a schoolgirl. And you see what happened with that? That is the only two people in the history of the world ever take Rowley to this word. Everybody else knows Rowley is an unmitigated liar. A liar. Raffle could build Balize house. Well, we are asking here in the UNC. We telling him, we want to know, as DPL John, as she said, where that money come from. And that money that coming in to build Balize house, why is that not being given to the people of Trinidad and Tobago? You want to put yourself in your vanity project, Balize house. That's a vanity project. You want to put yourself along the lines of Eric Williams, Chambers, Manning. You can't walk in them fellas' shoes, Rowley. You cannot walk in them fellas' shoes. Okay, they are our political opponents. But you, Keith Rowley, cannot walk in their shoes. Put your foot somewhere else. And if you want the example where to put your foot, look at the other fellow in Tobago where he put his. Rowley, the people of Trinidad and Tobago totally fed up of your lies. They're totally fed up of your evil. So what we are as a party, we are calling out not you, but the facilitators, those independent institutions that you have corrupted, that you have compromised. We want to know, while all the youth of the East-West corridor suffering, cannot find employment. I mean, we walk in Tinapuna and we looked into their eyes, the youth, the young people of Tinapuna. And it's a confused look. You know why? No guidance, nothing to look forward to. And you come to tell us about we should pray. The only thing we could pray for, as MP Rambali says, for you to go, get the hell out of here, Keith Rowley. Tell me, people of Trinidad and Tobago, Garden Express News say, one policy Keith Christopher Rowley has implemented that could help the youth of Trinidad and Tobago. And don't tell me nothing about no events. Events is not a policy. Events, putting on an event here and an event there, that is not policy. Policy, as our UNC MPs will tell you, policy is something that is sustainable, that could give people real jobs, real income, that they can look forward to building their lives and their family. But all we really want to do is make sure that the youth of the East-West corridor have a job in a fast food outlet, have a job in a little retail store. Why? They have no value as far as Keith Rowley is concerned. They do not matter as far as Keith Rowley is concerned. So our children on the East-West corridor could be dropping out of school. How many? 2,800. 2,800 drop out of primary and secondary school. You see Keith Christopher Rowley call and address that? He don't care. He don't care why. His children living nice. They're living high off the hog. But our children could catch us. Rowley didn't care about that. 2,800. And now we have to dig deeper. Where are they going? A 13-year-old boy said he was out of school since he's 10 years old. Why? Mommy couldn't pay for him to get lunch. Mommy couldn't pay for him to take a taxi back and forth. He out of school since 10 years old. Then you want to come and tell us with your policies, you want to come and tell us that we must lock them up. Tell your opposition, we must be stronger. We must stand with the PNM. We're not standing with you. We're not standing with you. You have no idea about holistic policies. So when Senator Anna Roberts had sport going, had people employed, you say what? We feed them too much black people. That's what I say. You feeding too much black people. You want all your money to go where? To your financiers. No problem with that. When Jolene John and Kamla Persad-Bissessar tell black people in the East Port of Spain, pay $100 and own your house, have some collateral, have something so you could go to the bank, take a loan for education. Well, what he said? Don't trust them Indian. They're fooling black people. When Kamla Persad-Bissessar say, we buying laptops for everybody, well, what we say? Look, they feeling black people dance. Now you're already running like a dog all over here, a mangy dog all over the place, looking for laptops. That's what he is, he's a mangy dog. Because he's suffering my people. He's suffering my people, he's a mangy dog. With fleas. No, I'm not taking it easy with them. You come in with a talk about raffle. But if your raffle could fund 100 million, fire core member tomorrow morning. Fire core member, close down Central Bank, and run Trinidad and Tobago like Las Vegas. If you could raise 100 million like that, you're only lying. And you know what? Again, I'm not angry with Rowley. Rowley's a liar, and evil does what it does. Evil will do what it has to do. It's the facilitators of Keith Christopher Rowley. The ones who know that he's lying. The ones who know that he's suffering our people. The ones who know that he has no policy to improve the lives of Trinidad and Tobago. That is who we have to look at, and we have to call them out. So when Keith Rowley buff up Senator Varma, the Alsing, the independent, buff him up. The Alsing run back to support Hines. Yes, pornography is what is causing all the crime. That is why that is why we tell you all. We tell you all every time, and I will tell you all every time we speak. It's not about African Indian. It cannot be about that. Rowley wanted like that. As DPL journalists say, that is Rowley's wheelhouse. That is where he's comfortable in that space. The racist talk. The talk is about what? How we could better the lives of the major stakeholders of Trinidad and Tobago. And that is us, the African Indian and the mix-up and all that. That is our people. So for the Ferrer, you know when old people come and they talk, sometimes they talk too much. You know what for the Ferrer say? Where we get most donations in the PNM from? Where we get it from? You know he said? 1970 to 1971. And who was the major donors? The 1% white people. He said, I said, don't come and tell me in the paper someone Nakhid racist. For the Ferrer say, all the donations to PNM, best period of donations was in 1971. What was that? The Black Power Revolution. All the white people, they're so afraid. They're so afraid, black and Indian unity, what they do? They run and give all the money to PNM. To do what? Lick down black people. Lick down black people. Mash up NJAC. And there's the same government want to come and tell you now that they're for African people. Well, I tell you African people on the East-West corridor, it's time you get up, time you stand up and lift up your end of the sofa. You have to stand up and lift up your end of the sofa. So when you see us walking, don't come and tell us what UNC are for you. What you doing for us to help you? What are you doing for us to help you? You have to bring back this group of people in the UNC who have ideas, who are intelligent. Some of them too bright for their own good. Hard working. We're not lazy. We're not lazy. We're working. Yesterday we come in here tomorrow and talk. And then we go in again tomorrow. You know why? We have the interest of the people at heart. We have that right here. It's right here. It's burning inside. I need nothing but the day yet. But I could talk all night if you let. So I tell you, I'm leaving here with this. I'm leaving here with this. We have to recognize as a people. It's not about African Indian. We have to recognize as a people. It's about us versus that wretched government called the PNM. Versus that evil that stalks the land. And I want Jason Gordon and them to call him out. Keith Christopher Rowley. We have to stand up. We have to stand up united. one leader, one party, UNC and proud on the road to victory. I thank you.
To the nation, put the guns them down. Probably want some. Put them down, down. Put them away now. Mr. Marshall, don't try. What you say? Don't take now. See what you say.
So now make some noise for the man who has been fighting for a better living for you the people. Thank you, Senator Nakhid. Our next speaker needs no introduction. Like our previous speaker, he has accomplished a great deal for our nation in the field of sport. He is a champion coach and has hosted the hit talk show, Dogla Politics. He is fearless, he is outspoken. The PNM trembles in the Senate when he rises to make a contribution. Please help me welcome to the platform the one and only Senator, the Honorable Anil Roberts.
Yeah, this is a message to the nation. Put the guns them down. Probably want some. Put them down. Put them away now.
Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. The UNC says, when Rowley displays evil, we will cuff him low, we will cuff him high, we will kick him in the middle and beat him up and down. Trinidad and Tobago. Y'all may not know, but I have a brilliant, strong, intelligent son. You know, I always talk about my daughters because daughters have a special place in the heart of fathers. But I have a son, and he's going to graduate from Hugh Wooden very soon. And this week, when I saw the front page of a newspaper, I tremble and I shake with my doubles and coffee. I drop the paper, I bounce my starter, and I gone down by my son. He said, Daddy, what happened? I hug him, boy. I said, boy, I'm so proud of you that you are a man. You are an intelligent man. You are a man who takes care of his mother and takes care of his sister. You do your work, you go to your church, you pray, you discipline. Because when I saw the front page of the 3 men that the PNM is showing our young people how to be, when they attended the ceremony of the Order of Mediocrity handed to Kangaloo, the 3 men on the front page was Keith Christopher Rowley, Mr. Kangaloo, and Ivor Archie. I said, Lord, a honor man, a mama pool man, and a wannabe man. I said, Lord, I run along of the sun. That is what the PNM offering our country. When I finish, I got my son, I sit down and I drink a coffee. I say, you know what the strategy of Rowley is? Rowley does just shout out and exaggerate things that he knows he's guilty of. So recently, you all see Nelson Gate affair, the most corrupt, insipid, dastardly act by a government, by a prime minister, by an attorney general, to bribe, to pay, to induce, to get a man who was dying to lie on some UNC members so that they could win and run in the treasury to raid it without procurement. You know what Rowley say? Rowley come to a press conference and say, Kamla say, send the police for me. Send the police for me and Faris. But the man, the Queen's Counsel that he was praising, who's a King's Counsel now, Rowley just come and lie and tell all you that the man was convicted, and then the thing about Faris. So he threw out something, a serious issue, make it like it frivolous, when police should be knocking on Rowley door, and Alrawi door, and Alaimo door, and Fitzgerald Hines door, and the PNM cabinet door. A very serious thing. Rowley call and talk about the ground report and say something. They want to talk about rape. Rowley, wait, Rowley. Nobody has say you rape yet. What we said was, while you were a teacher in 1969, science is so specific that the consummation of the child occurred when the girl was of school age, 16 years and 2 months. So if the time of impregnation of the girl of school age happened at 16 years and 2 months, nobody has say rape yet. What we say is you're the disrespectful, misogynistic user of people who abuse your power as a teacher to impregnate a girl of school age and leave the child. Now we also know that young girls like that, one does not just meet them on one day and make love to them on the same day. There's a period of grooming. Now if the police would investigate, and they investigate and show that it wasn't only one time, then we could call something else. But he jumped out with the word to make you all feel that he's a good man, when the truth is insipid, that a man would use his power position to take advantage of a girl of school age. Rowley cry and blame all of you for poor parenting, murder rate, crime situation, poor parenting, when everybody in the world knows that Keith Christopher Rowley is the worst father on this planet. A man who does not mind the product of his loins is not a man. He's a mama fool. Keith Rowley started to talk about the country had no religion. We had to pray. We are amongst evil and darkness. Yes, Rowley, because you are the only prime minister and leader in the history of the Caribbean who admitted your work obia on another leader, Patrick Mervyn Augustus Manning, and your deal with Satan now pervades the country. So don't tell we pray. We pray every day to see the back of you and the PNM for the next 40 years. Well, Rowley say that Kamla Persad-Bissessar call him a Wajang, and he will take that name any day, but he would not take being called a thief. In other words, he's trying to say that he, Keith Christopher Rowley, he is not a thief, and Kamla Persad-Bissessar and the UNC full of thieves. That's what he'd like to say. Well, let's start at the beginning to analyze this statement. In 5 years and 4 months, Kamla Persad-Bissessar's government spent $325 billion. And you had 106 schools, you had aquatic center, cycling velodrome, tennis center, 6,874 houses. Your road was smooth, highway to Point Fortin. You had Sea Bridge going. You had community center, fire station, police station, MIC centers, NESC centers, food card, social development grant, ministry of the people, 42,000 card, school feeding increased from 51,000 to 74,000 across the board. Rowley spent $40 billion more than Kamla, and all you have nothing. So who thief? But it wasn't Kamla Persad-Bissessar who called Rowley a thief, you know. It wasn't Kamla who called him a Wajang. It was Patrick Mervyn Augustus Manning who said that Rowley's a Wajang. Rowley said he prefers to be called a Wajang than a thief. Well, Patrick Manning also said, show me a liar and I will show you a thief, Rowley. As he asked Rowley, where the money gone from Cleaver Heights right down the road? Rowley said he is a Wajang, not a thief. But yet, Kamla Persad-Bissessar and her government went into parliament, scrambled, consult, fight, and pass legislation to protect your money. They put padlock on the money, procurement legislation. Rowley see the legislation. He tell Faris, hey boy, that thing had too much security, boy. Their money too safe, boy. What we going to do? And he and Faris gone, water down, got the legislation, gone in the parliament, gone in the senate, get them PNM independent senators to play sack in, sack out, and water down the legislation. Why? All you answer, all you know understanding? Who would do that? A wajang or a thief? Or is it a wajang who is a thief? Kamla Persad-Bissessar had one person to one board, one chairman to one board, no family members of ministers on any board. Rowley come and he boy, Noel Garcia, the ugliest man in Trinidad and Tobago with the most work. Noel Garcia building airport, hospital, health center, community center, sports stadium, Magnificent 7, Red House, President's House, Prime Minister residence in Tobago. Every house in Trinidad and Tobago is one man, Noel Lasal Torres Garcia. Who would do that? A wajang or a thief? Or a wajang who is a thief? Rowley, say that is my friend. 100 million in oil unaccounted for. The oil pumps so much, you swear it's 23 pump all that oil in one day. Rowley said, but I'm my friend. He fire minister, he fire board, he get the lawyer to go there, he kept spreading, he shut down Petrotrain, he shut down, he didn't appeal, he do everything, then pay his friend 118 million plus $1 billion in a 10-year contract. Who would do that? A wajang or a thief? Or a wajang who does thief? Rowley called Bridgman's when he crashed Tobago. And that's why Tobago spit him out 14-1. And that's what Trinidad is waiting to do to get rid of the PNM across the board, the east-west corridor from Diego Martin to Matlock down to Point 14 and La Brea. Rowley say Bridgman's money is crooked money. But Rowley approved the money by prime ministerial approval and then went back to cabinet for covering approval of the crooked money. Who would do that? A thief or a wajang? Or a wajang who does thief? Rowley, when he was Minister of Planning and Development in 2003, before Manning fired him and moved him in December 2003 to housing, Rowley was the Minister of Planning and Development. His good friend, John Rahal's son, Joseph Rahal, joined a company called Woodgill. Woodgill had applied in shorelands to go up in the sky, but it had been denied legally. Can't do it. Cottersill, 1964. Many had tried, nobody got it. Rowley took his signature, and by prime ministerial approval, he gave John Rahal's son approval, outline approval to go up in the sky, increasing the value of their land from 10 million to 850 million. Who would do that? A wajang or a thief? Or a wajang who does thief? When gravel rolled from by a hospital to somewhere by you had to be a wajang who does thief. A hospital is somewhere to protect the elderly, the young, the infirmed. When gravel rolled from by a hospital to somewhere by you are not only a wajang who is a thief, but you're evil. When you interfere with the Independent Police Service Commission and thwart a merit list and get 2 other public officers to misbehave in public office so you can control police to get $65 million to run down Moonilal and Anil. You could get 650 million. You could get 6.5 billion. You can't get Moonilal, you can't get Anil because we is not wajang and we is not thief. So help me with this, my UNC family, my warriors. Rowley calling Kamla a thief. Kamla had 1 chairman to 1 board. Rowley had 1 man in charge of all 7 boards. So who thief? All you said, Kamla had one person, one board. Rowley had one person on multiple boards. Ingrid Lashley on 9 board. Eustace Nancis on 6 board. The Speaker husband on 7 board. And all of them is neighbor in Inez Gate. So who thief? Kamla said no minister's family on board. Rowley only family and friends controlling your money. So who thief? Kamla passed strong procurement and weakened it. Rowley gutted it. So who thief? Kamla had 0 recusals as Prime Minister. Rowley have 11. His cabinet have 612 recusals benefiting themselves and their family. Who thief? Kamla's business equal the people's business. The business of being Prime Minister. Kamla don't have no goat farm, no sheep farm, no meat farm, no honey goat weeds pharmacy selling thing for thing to stand up that can't stand up. And let me correct Senator Nakhid. Senator Nakhid, Rowley so informed and under so much pressure, not even me big toe could stand up. Rowley's Attorney General renting building to himself from himself. So who thief? Rowley's ministers' wives getting lucrative contracts. Kamla no family, no wife, and get no contract. So who thief? Rowley's finance minister living large, coming in the parliament to make laws for him to profit, and I hear the minister man going to live somewhere by calm. Who thief? Rowley say he's a real estate broker and a developer because he negotiate with a contractor for Inez Gate purchase, which he failed to declare in his integrity forms. Who thief? So who is the thief? Kamla in over 20 years filled out her Integrity in Public Life Act forms to perfection. Rowley failed to declare a beneficial interest of $458,000 earned from a contractor and undervalued his house value in Tobago. So who thief? Kamla and the UNC paying rent for UNC headquarters. Rowley building $100 to $150 million Balize house with work done only by contractors who gained contracts under the PNM. So who thief? On the road to victory, we will beat the thief from there, we will beat the thief down there, we will hit them low, we will hit them high. The United National Congress, one leader, one party, UNC, on the road to victory. God bless.
To the nation, put the guns them down. But we want some put them down. Put them away now. Mr. Marshall, then try, what you say? Now. See what you
Who thief? Thank you, Senator Anil. Our next speaker is a vibrant young woman who has practically grown up in the UNC. At age 21, she was nominated by the party to contest local government election for St. Augustine South, where she served as councillor for 10 years. In 2010, she became the youngest person in history of TNT to become the chairman of the regional corporation and went on to serve as the opposition senator. She is the deputy chairman of the United National Congress Executive, the opposition shadow minister of local government. Please welcome the UNC Monday Night Report, the Member of Parliament for St. Augustine, Ms. Khadija Ameen.
My St. Augustine family, let me hear you make some noise. My political leader, the best Prime Minister Trinidad and Tobago ever had. My UNC family, a special good evening. To those of you who have filled Hillview College Auditorium and those who are listening at home. My friends, very often I speak to you about local government because that is where I come from. And I shadow that portfolio because we in the opposition have to continue to keep the government accountable. But tonight, I want to speak to you as a mother. Because mothers today in Trinidad and Tobago are afraid for our children right now. And that is because of what is happening in the schools and on the playground. There is an outrageous upsurge in violence in our schools. There is an alarming increase in school dropouts throughout the country, but more prevalent on the East-West corridor and the St. George East and West districts. Our girls in particular are at risk. We see videos of viral school fights every single day. These things have consequences for us as a nation, for the future of our children, and the government does not seem to have a solution. And people ask, how can you hold the government accountable for the increase in violence in schools? Well, tonight, I want to tell you why. The government is responsible to ensure that all our schools are safe environments for children to learn and to grow. And that includes implementing policies and practices that promote a culture of nonviolence and respect in schools. This government's failure to adopt suitable policies means that the government has been negligent, and they must be held responsible. We, all of us, as parents, as citizens, must call out the government for failing our children in schools. This government has to be held responsible for failing to provide the support and the resources for families and communities that are affected by violence. And this includes providing access to social welfare programs, mental health services, and other resources to address not just the fighting when it happens, but the underlying problem that leads to the social ills and the violence in schools. And they have failed to do that. The government has to be held accountable for failing to enforce the laws and the regulations that exist in dealing with violence and abuse of children. They have not been holding the perpetrators responsible for their actions. They should be providing support and justice for victims, and that is not happening. There is a continuous and deepening sense of injustice that continues to pervade our land. The government has to be held accountable for the shortage of guidance counselors, social workers, and the underpaid teachers in our education system. This PNM government is failing us. Please stand and let us welcome to Tunapuna constituency the leader of opposition, the first female Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar. accountable for the violence in schools. There's a JSC report since 2018, an inquiry into the levels of violence in students with particular focus on physical and cyberbullying. Can the government tell us how many of the 16 recommendations in that report it implemented 5 years later? And then they will come to say that they are concerned. Concerned about what? Concerned my foot. You are doing nothing and you are in charge. You are failing the children of Trinidad and Tobago. The PNM continues to escalate the situation. Our own Prime Minister, on so many occasions, show complete disrespect to women. You remember when Rowley referred to schoolgirls fighting, not with concern. He called them hyenas in a jungle. You remember that? That is the leadership we are dealing with. A Prime Minister who talks about nipples and cat and the wife panties and vomit. Those are not my words. Those are the words of our Prime Minister. That is the shameful leadership we are dealing with. So how can that type of leadership address violence amongst girls and amongst school children in Trinidad and Tobago? He cannot. He is a failure. You remember when his back wasn't good enough. You remember when his back was good enough to whine on a teenager for carnival, but it wasn't good enough for the vehicle. So he had to spend $2 million taxpayers' dollars for a new vehicle. That is your Prime Minister. What kind of policies can we expect from such a man at the top? And what do we expect of that government when that is the perception of women and girls at the top? The man, the groomer, talk about grooming. That is the man who referred to women as golf courses to be groomed. Meanwhile, in the middle of last year, the Minister of Education, Dr. Nayan Gasby-Dolly, came and told us school violence is on the decline because they now have police officers in guns and uniform and boots patrolling inside and outside of compounds, school compounds, in high-risk areas. A decline, you know. You hear lie? In November in 2022, that same minister boasted again about a decline in school violence. Meanwhile, every single day, we see viral videos of school fights and violence. You hear lie? Now switch over to 2023. Big article in the Guardian, in the Trinidad Express. School violence surging out of control. School violence outrage. Government stakeholders condemning continuing school violence. Police have to break up fights in Port of Spain schools. Those were the news headlines. You remember there was a video of a principal at Tranquility Government Secondary School getting trampled in a school fight in the middle of the school day. But they come to tell you that school violence is on the decline. Does that sound like a reduction in school violence to you? You hear lie? The situation has escalated so badly that we are now seeing female parents fighting with students in schools, joining the fight, either in defense of their children, nieces and nephews who were violated, or as part of the violence themselves. There's a total breakdown at a number of schools in this country, and the minister continues to be totally ineffective where solutions are concerned. And they want to tell us that school violence is on the decline. You hear a lie? I don't know if this government thinks that by repeating the lies, we will eventually believe them, or if they just don't know the reality. Sometimes I ask myself, where are these people living? Are they living in some kind of la-la land? They are totally disconnected from the reality. We had Tutor, the National PTA, the Concerned Parents Movement, all of them saying that there's a total breakdown, a loss of control over safety of our students in our schools, and saying that the minister is ineffective at solving the problems. I ask myself if this government or this prime minister knows what the reality parents are facing is. I wonder if they know what our children are facing. Their children don't have to face that. We know the reality of what our teachers are facing in schools. And it is this government that has created an environment in this country that has led to the upsurge in crime and violence. Once you continue to have a social and economic inequality, that is a major contributing factor. Bourgeois say who feels it knows is who feel it knows. With all the hike in the price, arm and leg we have to pay while our leaders play. And our leaders are playing, they kicks in, they're joking, and we must vote them out. Our girls, the future women leaders of this country are at risk. Girls are in school gangs, girls are in fights every day, girls are being sexually harassed and even raped in schools. Some young ladies come from a background that puts them at a disadvantage. They face poverty, neglect, abuse. Living conditions lead to anger and frustration and that kind of hopelessness, and it sometimes manifests in violent behavior. What is the government doing to address the underlying problem? Other factors like family dynamics also affect our girls. Some young girls come from a household where they witness or experience domestic violence. They see gang warfare going on right around them. They witness murder, and then that normalizes the violence to them. Additionally, some girls have experienced abuse and trauma themselves, and that has led to violence tendencies. That kind of exposure and desensitization to violence and a belief that violence is an acceptable way to resolve conflict has to be addressed. This Sunday Guardian yesterday had a full report about the alarming rate of dropouts in schools. And it talks about some of the factors that lead to the dropouts. So before we break down as a society, we have to recognize that this government is failing us. We need comprehensive, multifaceted approaches to deal with the education programs to help our young women and men with conflict resolution. We need community-based interventions. We need to provide support to our families. We need justice for the wrongdoers to be brought to justice and for the victims to receive support. I call on this government to increase the school guidance counselors and social officers in our schools now. There are so many vacancies and yet you refuse to hire. After 2 years in COVID lockdown and virtual learning, it is now very clear that children who did not have laptops and connectivity were at a serious disadvantage. Who gave our children laptops in this country? It was the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar. Over 95,000 laptops were provided to students. 75% of primary and 100% of secondary schools had internet access. By taking away the laptops, the government has contributed to school dropouts, delinquency, and violence in schools. Under the government led by Kamla Persad-Bissessar, through the ministry's student support services, over 70,000 secondary school pupils had career guidance workshops. There were more than 100 parenting workshops. In 2014, because of the measures implemented by the Kamla Persad-Bissessar government, Trinidad and Tobago saw the best academic achievements ever in our country's history in SCA, in CAPE, and in CSEC. don't know if you know, but at the Cape level, there was a 94% pass rate at Unit 1 and 2 in 2014 under that Prime Minister. In 2008, the government gave out 48 scholarships. That was before, under the PNM government, right? 48 scholarships. And in 2014, that was increased, well, I should say by 2014, that was increased to 470 scholarships. Our children, our young people had opportunities. We had the Ministry of Social to provide support. We had after-school study centers. We were developing the youths for a digital age. And the UNC plans for young people always includes young people and talent and giving them opportunity and training, whether it's in academic skills training or technical and vocational studies. So Tunapuna, I say to you tonight, when the time comes to vote, vote for yourself and your children. Vote for your children to get laptops. Vote for the education system to be restored. Vote for our at-risk young people to have a better chance at their future. You have given the PNM a chance in this constituency in Tunapuna. You cannot afford to have a failure again. You cannot afford to have non-representation in Tunapuna. You deserve a better chance. The PNM has failed you. It is time to return the United National Congress and Kamla Persad-Bissessar to government.
You all know Khadija Ameen was the best chairman in the Tunapuna Piarco Regional Corporation. Make some noise. Thank you very much, MP Khadija. Welcome our live on Synergy and also 104.7. Our next speaker is a UNC defender, a lion in parliament, and a veteran parliamentarian. He is a firebrand in the House and on the platform, and in a few moments you would understand why. He currently serves as the UNC Deputy Political Leader and is the Opposition Shadow Minister for Housing. Welcome to the podium, the Honorable Dr. Roodal Moonilal, for the Member of Parliament of Urbridge East.
This is a message to the nation. Put the guns them down. Come we want some understand. Put them down. Put them away now. Understand. Mr. Marshall, Benjai, what you say? Don't fake now. This is what you
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. Political leader, the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar, former Prime Minister and the next Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Members of the platform this evening, members of the National Executive, parliamentary colleagues, executive officers at Tunapuna, brothers and sisters of the UNC family. It's a great feeling to be on the corridor and to feel this vibe of victory. On the East-West corridor tonight from Trinidad and Tobago, a special welcome to our great friends and supporters in North America, Norbert and his crew out in Canada, Wesley and his team as well in Canada, Angie and others in New York, our friends in Miami, Florida, listening to us and throughout the Caribbean, including supporters in Guyana, St. Lucia, Barbados, and Grenada that I'm aware of. Brothers and sisters, tonight we come to you to speak on the issues affecting Trinidad and Tobago, the sorry state that our economy and society has arrived at, and our policies and our programs, our projections, and our critical analysis of what is before us today. Today, brothers and sisters, we assemble at this very beautiful facility. In fact, it's Hillview College. Over the years, we must commend Hillview College They have given birth to a lot of politicians, professionals, social workers, activists, volunteers, and civic-minded citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. So let's get a round of applause for this illustrious institution. I think our executive officer, Nicholas Morris, was a valedictorian at this institute. Rudranath Indar Singh, former minister, is a proud graduate. Prakash Bharat, did I hear you as well? So we have had some great UNC folks. I understand there were a few delinquents over the years passing through here. Kirk Megu came here as well. Give him a round of applause. So we have had great UNC stalwarts coming here, and the one or two delinquents, I understand, they end up in the P&M. So we are very proud to be and happy to be at this illustrious educational center. Brothers and sisters, today Trinidad and Tobago is unrecognizable from the paradise that Kamla Persad-Bissessar and the partnership left in 2015. It is unrecognizable. Today, crime is at its highest. People are stealing crab from the crab vendor. Huh? They thief a garbage bag at a business place thinking it's money. We have had home invasions during the course of this meeting. We learned on our phone of a home invasion at Millennium Park nearby. This is the sorry sight of Trinidad and Tobago. And we have had the most incredibly and spectacular failure in Fitzgerald Hines as Minister of National Security. As the speakers before me told you, he reached the point, he says, violent movies and pornography causing crime. Now, why he would say something like that? Huh? Why would you do that? Why would you say that and I have to read that? So, this fella now cannot fix 2 mobile scanners in the police service to go and scan the road and look for gun, look for narcotics, look for human trafficking. He can't fix 2 scanners, mobile scanners, but he blamed John Wick. And if that ain't good enough, he blamed John Holmes. May I know much about that? That is where them smile like all you know. Let me leave that one time. So the fella blames violent movies, pornography and so on for his own incompetence, his own importance. He's blaming. So if movies just determine these things, he's sleeping away in every function. What movie he watching? Sleepy Hollow? Sleepless in Seattle? Sleeping Beauty, although he's not a beauty. But brothers and sisters, we all know, as David Nakhid told us earlier, it is that influence of poverty, unemployment, social disruption that is causing crime. Yes, in every society, there are people who are well-to-do, maybe involved in criminal activities. But generally, if you look throughout the world, the data will tell you it is linked to unemployment, to poverty, to economic decline, lack of opportunity. When we were in government, at the Ministry of Housing, we put on programs every year, Color Me Orange and other programs. Jillian John did that when we were in housing. Jillian is here. And in those times when those programs were in effect, the police told us that was the lowest rate of serious crime in hotspots. Jillian is here, she knows that. So brothers and sisters, Fitzgerald Hines is just playing the fool. So who you gonna blame now? Stormy Daniels? Who you gonna blame now for crime? Huh? He is a fool. He doesn't understand the problems that he faces. He cannot fix anything. Look what is happening this morning. We read of that horrific incident in South Trinidad where a mother, Kemba Morris, and her 8-year-old daughter, Zaya, perished in a home on fire. Brothers and sisters, this evening, I do not blame the fire officers. I do not blame the men and women in the fire service at all. But we have been in Parliament, Rodney Charles in particular, and others, speaking about the lack of resources, the lack of equipment in the fire service. The head, Mr. Arnold, something, spoke about it. The head of the association spoke about it. We have been telling you over and over that Hines and this government and National Security Council cannot buy fire appliances. They spent $60 million to chase down Anil Roberts and myself. That could have bought 20 fire trucks. Not one, 20. When that house was on fire, I mean, I do not blame the fire brigade people and so on. The Siparia station had no appliance. They had to go penal, built by the People's Partnership. Otherwise, they would have had to go Monrepo, San Fernando, Monrepo. And if they had to go, they all know the fire brigade reach it. So the penal fire station had to send an appliance, had none in Siparia. But this is what we were telling you all along. In Port of Spain, God forbid something happens at the Hyatt or one of those high-rise buildings. You all don't know the state of the fire service. It is in pre-collapse. It will collapse under Fitzgerald Hines, Stuart Young, and Keith Rowley. Today, the fire service called upon to give water to the Defense Force. The Defense Force don't have water. The fire service giving them water. So if you have a fire in Port of Spain or in Diego Martin, where getting the water from? Huh? We go and spit on the fire? That is where this country has reached. That is where it has reached. They go into Australia, buy 6 boats in record time and come back. Boat for the Coast Guard and thing, man. But you couldn't buy fire appliances. Can't buy that. Every time we raise the question, it's before the CTB, Central Tenders Board. But the boat wasn't before the CTB. The aeroplane they buy for Cal wasn't before the CTB. The fire appliances before. And nothing is happening. That is where we are. And another time I'll give you that story from Sandy Grande in the East-West Corridor, Sandy Grande to Port of Spain. They have a lack of equipment, breathing apparatus, poor maintenance, and little money is required. Little money to repair the trucks. One of these days they will have a fire and firemen will have to take a taxi to go to a fire. I'm telling you. Between Sandy Grande to Port of Spain is a disaster again. Another one waiting to happen. If there's a fire in Tanapuna, you all don't know, a fire truck has to come from Port of Spain. Because all around you have none. No working appliance. No proper equipment. We are in a bad state. It has cost 2 lives today. How many more must die like this? When little monies, a fire truck is more or less well equipped and so on, about 3 million TT dollars. You can certainly buy 10 and send to Mayaro, Pinal, Siparia, Sandy Grande, Tanapuna, Port of Spain. That is a critical service, life and death service, brothers and sisters. So I just had to raise that after reading this morning's newspaper. Brothers and sisters, the matter I want to talk to you about, an important matter today. You know, last year we had raised the UNC, not the construction people and things. The UNC was the first political party, the only entity in this country to have raised a red flag with the construction of the central block in Port of Spain Hospital. We did it. We asked in Parliament a question. The Prime Minister in January 2022, he did not know that Shanghai Construction, that got a contract in May 2019, he didn't know in the end of 2021 they terminated the contract. He said, you don't know. And he is the minister with responsibility for UDCOT. If we were in government and Mrs. Persad-Bissessar was responsible for UDCOT, every Monday morning the Joint Consultative Council would be having a press conference. Who are marching, starving in protest. If we were in government, press release, Abdullah would have been marching, Kublal Singh starving, the next one on the prowling. If we were in government, and Kamla Persad-Bissessar had ministerial oversight over UDCOT. Look what has happened, brothers and sisters. $1 billion contract, Shanghai bought it, they're gone. Contract collapsed. To this day, we do not know the terms of settlement of that contract, but we will find out, We'll find out how much millions of dollars gone there. They went in May 2022, again on the UNC platform, we alerted you. Remember we told you on a Friday, when the bids were closed, brothers and sisters, we told you when the bids were closed, they went and Monday morning they brought in a third bidder. Remember that? And they said it was a technical glitch. So 2 bidders went bid close on the 20th of May 2022, Friday evening. Monday morning, a 3rd bidder come. This is a glitch. Well, here what happened. The 3rd bidder won. 3rd bidder was awarded $106 million. We have the documents they can show you. We have it in my hand right here. The contract for the central block. We have it here. 3rd bidder awarded, brothers and sisters, $106 million. Look at that. Amazing. It was to be done, this contract that they got for $106 million was to be done in 275 calendar days. 9 months more or less, I think. That contract is up May 1st. If they could not finish that contract in time, they had to pay $50,000 a day for what is called delay. You don't finish the contract in time, it's between June 2022 to March 2023. March 2023 gone. They're finished. $50,000 a day they must pay. And up to a limit of 25% of the contract, meaning $26 million more or less. Today we ask Noel Garcia and Keith Rowley, have you sought to implement the contractual obligations of universal structures by taking the $50,000 per day? Because our information, you will see the pictures, they have it as well. Do you know that project gave out on June 2nd, 2022. Do you know they have not even completed 50% of the work? It was supposed to finish March 1st. Not even 50% completed of that project. But all the money gone. And this, Anil Roberts, is a serious matter. It is history repeating itself. You all remember a hospital was being built in Scarborough. And Tobago is a real funny place. I love Tobago too bad. But that's the only place, David, where gravel and sand does walk. Gravel and sand walk away from the Scarborough Hospital and find itself in a private development. Oh, you remember that? Look what's happening now. How far the central block is from Balize House? How far central block in Port of Spain is from Balize House? So, all the money gone. 50% of the work, only 50% finished. Look at it. Watch that. That's where it is now. That looking like anything near completion. 50% of the work completed. 13 stories, they gave a contractor that had no experience. We built Couva Hospital, we built the San Fernando Teaching Hospital, we built the Point Fortin Hospital, we built the Arima Hospital. We know how to build hospitals. We know it. Today, brothers and sisters, out of 13 stories, they only do the flooring for about 5 to 6. The walling was called share walling and so on, elevator walling, only up to 5 to 6, 13 stories. The contract expire, the money gone, building a finish. Think of this, contractor take money. I'm not naming who take money because I have plenty contractor there. But you have to connect that to Balize House. And tonight I ask Keith Rowley, answer the question. This country, nothing is wrong with businessmen or individuals giving donations to political party. Nothing is wrong with that. The law allows that. What is wrong is when you corruptly take money from state projects to fund political parties. That is wrong. That's illegal. And tonight I call on Keith Rowley to tell us whether the contractor at the Central Block or its related company is a donor to Balize House construction. Tell us and name the large-scale contractors who have provided money for Balize House. What did he tell me? He sell tulum? Huh? He sell tulum and he sell, what, drop something to raise money? Barbecue? To raise $100 million? Large-scale contractors got contracts and funding Balize House. And you know how they're doing it? They're routing the money through another contractor. So you're not paying Balize House. The contractors are forced to make checks to a particular contractor, and that goes to this lead contractor, who in turn funds Balize House. That's the scheme them fellas working on. That is why the Central Block will never finish, and all the money will done. That is what we're facing today. I mean, in Tobago it happened. It happened in Trinidad as well, under our eyes in Port of Spain. So, brothers and sisters, my time will end now. I just wanted to alert you to this scandal taking place. And when we ask questions, they don't answer. We ask questions on the rentals. Ravi Balgobin Maharaj filed an action last year to get freedom of information on rentals. Anand Ram Logan is handling that, I believe. They gave information in January and December last. But do you know when they checked the records? We did the due diligence. Many ministries, many agencies, many departments simply failed to give information on critical rental contracts. So their strategy is we don't care. You could ask what the hell you want, we don't care. Brothers and sisters, thank you for your attention, and you'll hear much more from us in the coming days. So God bless you all. God bless you. God bless the UNC family, and forward to victory. Love you all.
Yeah. This is a mess.
Kamla Persad-Bissessar, one leader, one party. One party.
If you cut me, you go see blood.
First woman to chair the Commonwealth of 54 nations. First woman opposition leader. Welcome KPB Plus. Solid everywhere.
All the love inside away.
Tunapuna. Well, is anybody here from Tunapuna? Good evening, Tunapuna. Thank you very much. Friends and family of the UNC, thank you all for joining us, those who are here with us, and those who have come in on the World Wide Web. We're very happy to be in Tunapuna, and I'm very impressed to see this large crowd in Tunapuna. Tells me we are on the road to victory in Tunapuna. So thank you. Let's hail out all our speakers tonight. Tremendous contributions. Senator Nakhid, Senator Roberts, MP Khadija Ameen, MP Dr. Moonilal, Jalen, who's helping us as chair, Alderman Smalley, and all the others. Praki, who spoke tonight. I think he's the only elected councillor in this district. So let's big him up and thank him. And let us thank Hillview College for allowing us to have this great meeting on their premises tonight. Thank you, Hillview. I had planned to recognize all the great Hillview past students, but Dr. Moonilal did it for me. So let's congratulate all Hillview students. Your school has really turned out a lot of very powerful sons of our soil in great positions. So we have a lot of issues to discuss tonight, but I just want to spend a moment to thank the constituency of Siparia for hosting over the weekend a sports and family day in my own constituency. Can we say thanks to the Penal Debe Corporation, the constituency executive, the councillors, my councillors in that area, and of course the constituency staff at the Siparia office. So thank you all very much. I was very tempted to go into a three-legged race because I remember as a child I would never miss any Easter sports. wherever we had sports, and I was very blessed to grow up in Superior, opposite the great Superior Savannah. So there was always activity for sports, and I would not miss one. And I had a very serious fallout with my parents, because apart from Easter, you know, they also have a lot of New Year's Day sports, true? I know. Very special day for sports, New Year's Day. And my mother insists I must go by my grandmother New Year's Day, and I cried for the whole of that New Year's Day because I didn't get to go across the road in the Savannah to take part in the sports. So when I saw the kids there over the weekend, it brought a great joy to my heart. Marcia, did you know I won the Victrix Lorem for my school? I was a sports lady. Anna knows that. He knows I played the badminton. Sort of eased up now, but tennis, badminton, you name it. Run, flat race, three-leg race, egg and spoon, you name them. So to the children of Superior, we had a great time. I think Khadija joined us. MP Rati Ram was there for a while. Several of you came down, and it was really great fun. I would encourage all of you MPs. I see you smiling. MP Indar Singh, MP Pare, MP Moonilal, MP Khadija, coordinators, please. It's a great time to spend and to share with your constituents without having to talk all the politics with them. You just bond and share time. So I seriously encourage you. I'm in Tunapuna, so what can I talk about Tunapuna? Let me just acknowledge the presence of Mr. Barrett, a former member of Parliament for St. Augustine. Thank you for joining us. You look as alive and well as ever. Very happy to see you, sir. Thank you for coming. So let's look at Tunapuna. For how long has Tunapuna been in the clutches of the PNM? Too long, too long, too long. They have been representing you here, and look at the state of Tunapuna under decades of the PNM. Crime continues to skyrocket. Gang warfare is out of control. You all are reduced to living as prisoners in your own home. You look at the houses around here, they're burglar-proof. Prison to keep you inside. And we saw the tragedy in my own constituency. I had my councillors visit today to see what assistance we can give that tragedy of not having a fire tender. And I'm told that for the past month, Superior has been without a fire tender. Fire tenders have to come from as far as San Fernando when you get the call. And when they come, what happens? No water. No water. So that horrific tragedy, our condolences go out to that family. Really a horrific incident to have occurred. And it's not because to say that persons may have been negligent. It's that the state is totally unprepared. I was told that the bushfires are so many now. We are in that dry season. But no water in the taps, no fire tenders. You talk about Balaji House, Dr. Moonilal, all of you talked about it. And yet the basic things that we need, this government will not provide. You started to speak about the rentals. When you saw the rentals, we got an FYO information. Look, that's a Balaji House, look at that. That looked like something out in Canada somewhere. Look at that, reminds me of the O'Halloran Towers in Canada, if you all remember PNM thieving from since then, to build O'Halloran Towers in Canada. We couldn't have one tower in country here. That man had 2 towers. And they want to talk about who thief and a thief. I think I'll deal with that thiefing thing very good. Are you a Wajang or a thief? Or are you a Wajang who is a thief? Is there someone who is a Wajang who is a thief? So, crime. Let's take a look at a clip here of an attempted home invasion at Sawa, 3:15 a.m. last Thursday. Do we have the clip, please? Home invasion clip. So there you have it. This is what people are facing. home invasions on the increase, on the run, everywhere. This is not too far from where we are now. And that's happening throughout the country. Home invasions. You know, when children come home, they can't play in the yard. You're too scared to leave them out in the yard. There might just be a mass shooting, or might be a random shooting. You can't even stay outside your house. When you come home at night, you run straight inside again because you don't want to stay outside too long, because you may become just another victim statistic. I just want to share with you again some plans. This government is telling us they have plans to deal with crime. Criminality is not happening. It's just not happening. Moonilal made a joke out of Heinz, but I mean that fella busy surfing the internet. I don't know what he's looking for on the internet rather than looking for the criminals in Trinidad. He could tell you. He told you what is causing the crime. How does he know that? Because he's busy watching the same thing too. Instead of watching what's going on with the crime and trying to solve the crime, Nakhid, the fella busy on the internet doing I don't know what. Definitely not what he's supposed to be doing. So let's look at some plans. I have told you before, and I repeat, the UNC has plans to restore your communities, to bring back safety for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The first major thing that has to happen, we have to restructure all the ministries who are in charge of or have responsibility for national security issues. And so that Ministry of National Security should be divided into other ministries. A Ministry of Home Affairs to deal with crime on the ground. The Ministry of Defense to deal with our porous borders. And of course, the Ministry of National Security itself to deal with TTPS matters. So we would have further a Ministry of Justice. We've been talking a lot about the justice system collapsing. That's why we had created that Ministry of Justice. We had eased up the work on the Ministry of the AG and put some of that work dealing with justice in a Ministry of Justice. We need to do that again because clearly what is happening is not working. I have promised that the UNC government will increase the retirement age for the TT Defense Force personnel to bring them in line with other arms of security. Why do they have to go home at 45 years old? Many able-bodied men and women at 45 years old. Others retire in the public service at 60. If you look at Canada, if you look at Australia, they have a higher retirement age. Why do we train all these people in the TT Defense Force? And just when they reach their peak at 45, go home, retire. Why? From some old time long ago rule that you had to be under a certain age to be able-bodied. No. Lifespans have increased with time, with medication, and therefore we need to give these people more working time because they're totally trained. At 45, you're in your prime, I hope. At 45, you are in your prime. Why are you going home? So all that training of years of training just lost. We will increase that retirement age. I did this research. I am very confident using other systems that we can get it done. Our UNC government will offer diploma, undergraduate, postgraduate degrees in policing for recruits, and we combine that with a police apprenticeship program. So we're not just talking to pray and cry. We're not crying and we're not praying alone. We will pray, but we'll put the policies. One of you spoke earlier about policies, I think Senator Nakhid, about policies, not just talk and events. You must have some policies to deal with the crime. So far we've heard nothing new and nothing actually being done. So pre-trial detention, bail reform, very important. Individual risk and financial assessments, minimum security detention centers, laws to prevent incarceration of non-violent drug offenders. People are addicts and really need medical help rather than to lock them up in a jail cell somewhere and spend thousands of dollars to feed them. in that jail cell. What about the ankle bracelets? We passed that law, the ankle bracelet law. By that way you can monitor the criminals. You're going to have that bracelet and you will be able to monitor from a central point. So you don't have to feed them in the prison. And then if they can't work, then their children can't get food and you create more criminals. So once they have that, it's non-custodial sentencing for crimes. But the person can still be a useful member of society, help take care of their children. Where is it? Farris would come and cry in Parliament every week, but yes, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And I like to say, it's coming, and now he gone. And it's still not there. Where are these ankle bracelets? Where are the cameras for the police to wear? Where are those cameras, and why don't the police have these cameras, body cameras? We have so many stories about people claiming that the police killing them unlawfully, what you call non-judicial killings. In fact, in the US report, that is one of the main areas of condemnation for Trinidad and Tobago, extrajudicial killings by police officers. Where are the body cameras? And so that they will be covered, both the police will be protected by those cameras, and persons who may be shot by police for engaging in dangerous behavior. Where are those things? Nowhere. We will set up state support for children of incarcerated persons. Yes. Again, coming back to what Nakhid spoke about, Anil and the others, that the parents can't mind their children and the children turn to crime as well. We'll establish a fund for children who have lost one or both parents because of crime. Again, we have to take care of the children. So in addition to crime and crime fighting, just look at the infrastructure. Into the Pune here, you go back and you vote PNM every election. Your grandmother tell you, all, you just harden. Totally harden. Because you vote again and again and nothing comes to you in Tunapuna. Nothing. You name me one project in Tunapuna that has happened in the last 10 years on the PNM. 8 years now, going on 8 years, nothing. We open a state-of-the-art nursing academy. I told Khadija to check for me. For this whole catchment area, nursing academy, it wasn't just for nurses, you know. This was to train all allied medical personnel. People need jobs, you need sustainable jobs. You spoke about it before. Not in one of these fast food places, you spoke about sustainable jobs. That was to educate people to get a sustainable job. The Couva Children's Hospital, 2,000 people would have got jobs at the Couva Children's Hospital. But out of spite and malice and ill will, it took a pandemic for this wicked government to open the Couva Hospital, and then only for the COVID. State of the art. Port of Spain, as Moonilal has told you, Port of Spain going through the hospital there. State of the art Couva Hospital. Why are you keeping it shut down? And then why have you shut down the nursing academy that we set up? Why? Explain that to me. I don't understand. They seem to hate anything that has to do with education. They hate education. And you know why? Because they can keep controlling you and keeping you down on the ground, rubbing your faces in the mud and the dirt. It was a UNC government, UNC-led government that I led, where we established so much for people in education. Khadija spoke today about the violence happening in the schools. The first and the beginning and the end of every strategy has to be educating your people to lift them out of poverty. But the PNM hates education. They hate anything to do with that. Laptop gone. The school closed down, all MIC centers, all those centers, there were so many programs for children and adults. Everything shut down. And where's the money going? I'll tell you tonight about how much money we spent in our time and what we achieved. And they spent more billions And not a single thing can you stand and point and say, that's it. The only thing you could point to is that building we saw up there. The only thing they could point that they have done and still not done is that Balishe House. Balishe House. Nothing else have they done in this country. Don't come and tell me about Arima Hospital. That was started in my time. And don't tell us about Point 14 Hospital. That wasn't yours either. Ask Sterling John and Moonilal on the Udicott. The San Fernando Teaching Hospital, massive project there. Done, completed under my term, one term. One term we got under the UNC partnership. One term, and we did so much in that area. Infrastructure, gone. Pothole, drains, rats and so on, traffic, lack of water, high unemployment, all that right here, Praki, into your constituency of Tunapuna, all of that. Because it's the same state of affairs elsewhere. So if they're not taking care of their own who vote for them in Tunapuna every time, what do we say? Get out. This election, they have to get them out. Must go, they have to go. They have to go. How much more can people suffer under this wicked government? And I say we have a plan to rebuild and restore your communities. We have a plan that is based on 5 guiding principles. Principle 1, people-centered development, getting people back to work. The CSO statistics telling us now, government's own statistics, over 70,000 persons lost jobs since the PNM came into power. 70,000 people. Don't count that at 1, 2, 3 to 70,000. No. Each time a breadwinner loses a job, it is a whole family that suffers. So when 70,000 have lost jobs under this PNM, it's 70,000 families we're talking about who are suffering. No wonder you can't buy groceries in the supermarket when you go to buy. The central bank data again tells us inflation from last year to now, 17% increase. And this bogus man, Imbert, when we had that debate, I could never forget it. And I used the statistics. He got up to say, Kamla, bogus numbers. And now every number coming out of the central bank is saying exactly what I had said in that debate. Everything has gone up. And I see them want to rejoice again because the price of oil rushed and they say going up. Don't get yourself too excited about price of oil going up and you're going to benefit, you know. It's not going to happen. Because that smart man, Keith Christopher Rowley, shut down your refinery. Shut it down. The actual production in terms of the number of barrels produced, that keeps falling. So even though the price goes up, 1, we will have to pay more for refined fuel. So when the crude price goes up, okay, we'll get a little more, but then we have to go and pay more to get the refined product. So don't expect no ease and no spreeing and bacchanal and whatever. No better days are coming. Him going to see how clear he wants to see there are no better days coming under him and his government in office, none. And then on top of that, our production, as I say, fall. We had to import this. So when that price of oil going up, you know what's going to happen? Your cost of living is going to go higher. Because part of the inflation in the food prices is because of that reduction in the subsidies. True, Taka? They took away the subsidies from the fuel. You had to pay more the pump. So everything going up because everything has to get transported. So don't clap and praise Imbert. They did nothing to recover this economy. They did absolutely nothing. They're just drawing down money and spending it, as you know, not where you need it, where we need it as a country. So people-centered development. That's the first principle. Getting people back to work. We continue to be guided by this principle that the highest mission of any country is the development of our greatest resource, which is our human resource. I started talking about the educational factors. Greatest resource is the human resource, and we have to enrich this resource. First by training and programming, and then actually creating the jobs out there. Under the government I led, we created over 50,000 new jobs. Under this wicked government, 70,000 persons lost their jobs. And you want to tell me you come back into Napoli to vote for them? This next election, don't put God out of your thoughts, Make sure you're clear. You vote for the children. You vote for Trinidad and Tobago. You vote for the UNC next time. A new UNC government remains dedicated to creating jobs, getting people back to work, safeguarding social equity and justice, and protecting your rights. We commit to supporting lifelong learning skills, building and giving full rein to initiative and creativity to all citizens. So priority one for us is to put people back to jobs. That is a priority. So you can care for yourself and your families. I make the point, we have a track record. We did it once, we can do it again. Principle two, pro-business, allow the private sector to drive growth and development. We will follow a pro-business strategy which allows private sector to be the main driver of economic growth, transformation, and sustainable development. Why is it that the government gets involved in every single thing? Why? Why? Again, it's about leakage and slippage and about making money. That's what it is about. Why must the government be involved in all these things and the private sector? We have a great private sector in Trinidad and Tobago. Let them drive economic growth. Instead, the PNM policy has been one of privatize everything. Not privatize, the opposite, what's that? The opposite of privatize. Nationalize everything. Nationalize anything, run it to the ground, and then shut it down. Everything they've put into these national companies, everyone is running at a loss. Everyone is running at a loss. And Anil told you all tonight, what is it about? It's jobs for the boys and girls. So all these companies, all these state boards, state companies, guess what? Anil told you tonight, friend and family, one man sitting on 10 board, 12 board, 11 boards. It's jobs for the boys and the girls, and they run the companies down to the ground. Not one is making a profit. Name me one state company making a profit. Not a single one. None. None. The only one making profit is PNM Balaji House. That's the only place making profit in this country. So, pro-business, a new UNC government, we will focus on improving the ease of doing business, tackling crime, removing obstacles to business growth and expansion, and attracting local and foreign investments by creating an enabling environment. Under our watch, we were able to get FDI to the tune of billions of dollars to come from foreign to help us grow and develop. Now the opposite is happening. Every cent is gone. Minus, how much? 7 million minus. 7 billion. Gone. Gone under this wicked, incompetent government. Principle 3, resilience. Deepen economic reforms, but with a human face. Deepening economic reforms with a human face is a powerful force for sustainable development. A new UNC government will focus on improving our economy's resilience to future shocks, bringing the budget into balance, stabilizing high public debt, protecting our external position, and safeguarding financial stability. All of that is great, economic programs, plans, but it must be done with a human face. And how do we do that? We must reduce poverty. We must close the income gap between the haves and the have-nots. I remember the present Prime Minister talking about making the rich richer. His job is not to help poor people. His job is to make the rich richer. Well, that's all that he's doing, because people are getting poorer and poorer and poorer in Trinidad and Tobago. So one hand doesn't clap whilst we push the economic growth, we have to take care of the vulnerable. That's the human face of development in any country in the world. Principle 4, local content. Give people a sense of ownership and independence. Local content has the potential to stimulate broad-based economic development, to give a sense of ownership and independence to everyone in our country. All projects must include opportunities to maximize local content, local values. Added through jobs, skills, training, procurement of goods and services, technology transfer, all this must come together. And principle 5, sustainability. No point that you have something for today and it's gone tomorrow. There must be sustainability. We must promote environmental stewardship as well. So those 5 principles are the interconnected pillars for restoring and rebuilding our country, Trinidad and Tobago, for restoring and rebuilding your community here in Tunapuna. Very, very important for here and elsewhere. Now I want to put up again, can I put up a slide with the Balaji House? Because I want to say something more about Balaji House. Okay. Let's look at that corruption, money laundering, new Balaji House. Where did they get, each time we hear the number, it's more. So now I hear the guy saying it's 150 million. So where did they get 100 million? Where did they even get 50 million? Where did they get 100 million? How much? 200 million. Whatever millions, where did they get those millions to do this? Where? I want you to remember, do you believe anybody in this country, Mr. Rowley, will believe you really run a RAFRA to build that? Is there anybody believes that a RAFRA could build that? But more, look at this mall. It looks like a shopping mall, the size of that building. I'm calling on the PNM to provide a list of the donors into that construction. Let us see where all this money is coming from. And I want you to remember an article of Mr. Rowley when he said he became leader of the PNM. There's an article, September 26, 2018, where Rowley, the article says the PNM owed millions to the bank, says Rowley. He said it in September 26, 2018. And this is what he said in 2018. I'm quoting from that article in the Express by Ria Tate. Dr. Keith Rowley says the PNM owed the bank over $4 million when he took over the leadership by accident in May 2010. Well, I know what kind of accident because Arnold told you about who went to Likoto Jumbi and who did Obia and not Obia for that to happen. So he said he took over the leadership by accident, May 2010, following election defeat. Continuing the quotation, in fact, the party owed a slew of debts, he said on Tuesday night. However, the party's debts have now been liquidated, he told a party meeting in Granby. Okay? So they were owing $4 million. And in 2018, when he took over, and he said by 2018, he had paid off the monies. Rowley said, I'm continuing to quote, when he became PNM leader, his first meeting was with a banker who told him that the party owed $4 million. He said, in addition to this, PTSC had $800,000 bill for the party, and TTT television and another bill for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Rowley, the article continues, Rowley said, his first job was to save Balaji House in the face of this. Okay? So he raised that $4 million, so he paid it off. This was in 2018 when he turned the sod for the new Balaji House. So between 2018 and now, when he had no money, where did this $100 million come from? You had no money, so you can't say you had money in the bank. You had no money in 2018. Now, $100 million. MP Rodney Charles has asked Rowley, in the interest of transparency and good governance, to release the list of donors of this symbol, that decadent symbol, corruption, Balaji House. Our reports are that now the donors are running scared. Funds are being withheld. Workers apparently slowed down or stopped on that project, $1 million project, 100 million. But don't worry, Moonilal says he has a list of the donors. I know Moonilal has a way he gets these things. We have a list of them and we will let you know, as usual, when we know, you will know, those who are bringing in cash donations to pay for the construction. It has now become lucidly clear that funding for the project has slowed because they're becoming concerned about people raising that the monies are coming from questionable sources. For example, brothel owners, white-collar criminals, drug mafia, state contract kickbacks from contractors and suppliers are being pushed through on that project. So if, for example, white-collar criminals have 1 million of the dirty money, a quiet way to use it is to donate it to Balije House, and that can lead to the award of another state contract. Yes? And that's how the 100 million is piling in. We have called for the FIU. We have called for the CTU. We have called for the Commissioner of Police to get to the root of the Balije House funding by calling in the list of donors. You can't see that massive thing going on and the FIU doesn't know where it's coming from, how it's going on there. They have a duty to investigate. They have a duty, the CTU has a duty to investigate. But all those calls so far have been ignored. So we call again for these authorities to do their jobs and investigate where this money is coming from. And we will not leave it alone. You can call me all manner of names that you wish to call me, all of us on this platform. You can call us whatever you want. But one thing we will not let you escape is for telling the country, being upfront where that money is come from. When we form the government, we will have a full inquiry into where this money is coming from. I see Jalen John sent me something recently where people are getting $500, JJ, what was it, for pan something? And they're rejoicing for this $500. I'm so happy for them. Thank you very much. And other man walking and laughing all the way to the bank with all the renters of millions of dollars going into family, friends, and financiers. So small, little nothing for you. When JJ and I, we plan to tell them, look, we'll give you the house for $100. Get a deed, use it as a deed, use it as a piece of paper when you go to the bank. You can get a loan to buy a car, you get a loan to buy a laptop for your child, you get a loan to buy whatever it is. But that would have been money in the bank, you have a deed for collateral. They voted against that. Can you imagine? Voted against getting a land deed, a house deed. I can't understand it. I hope some of you all could help me to understand what would possess people. No laptop, take away your laptop, refuse to open all the schools, refuse to open the hospital down there, all these things that cause more sufferation for you. And you say, yeah, great is the PNM. Yeah, great is the PNM. We need to have a rethinking. We have to rethink how we do things if we want things to change. You cannot expect change when you do the same thing over and over and over again. There will be no change except for the worse in your life. And so rampant crime continues, terrorize innocent citizens. The PNM policy now is to blame pornography and what? Blame the religious bodies. They're blaming the religious bodies. When we look at the crime rate, we can only warn the government, their plan is to grow the criminal enterprise sector. No other sector is growing. Murders, home invasions. Look at this other home invasion there. Can we put up that video, please, somebody? Another home invasion. Look at that woman, panicking, having to flee her own home. jumping over the gate to escape. Look at the terror she's experiencing. That's in Freeport. Yes, that is Trinidad and Tobago today. Between 2010 and 2015, Mr. Rowley had all the solutions, all the solutions. He and his PNM, all the solutions. And now they are completely clueless, hopeless. They have resorted to blaming the religious bodies, as I said, for not doing enough. But at the same time, they are totally guarded 24/7. I remember that. They and their families totally guarded 24/7. The rest of you, bandit take you. The taxpayers, we are paying these ministers big money every month to come up with their sole job, their main job, the most important job of any government is safety and security. That's your first job. Because if people are dead, then no house, no land, no road, no car, no bridge, nothing will help them. They have to first stay alive. That's the first job of any responsible government, but this government has no clue and can do nothing and come up with nothing now, blame religion. It's always blame somebody, Remember that, Kenwin? Blame Kamla and the UNC. Blame the internet and pornography. Yeah, and then come back and blame Kamla and the UNC again. Blame everybody except themselves. So we have so many hard-working officers who continue to be frustrated by the lack of support by this government. The PNM will give $66 million to track down Anna Roberts and Roodal Moonilal. Going into 8 years now. $66 million, but they wouldn't buy one fire tender to save a life someone. How painful that is for every mother, father, any person to know that child perished in that fire because they couldn't send a fire tender. And why? Because it wasn't working, simple. Wasn't working. The fire tender from Mr. Barrett wasn't working. It has been working for a month. And Heinz busy watching or talking about pornography. Busy talking about pornography. No matter, it's laughable, but it's also pathetic. It is so sad. It's such a sad state of affairs. My heart bleeds for this child and her mother in my constituency with that fire. No fire tender. Rudy mentioned elsewhere. No fire tender. So $66 million. And they cannot even purchase a fire tender. They can't get vehicles, vessels for police patrols and so on. I have heard reports of officers asking businesses to help them to make photocopy of a piece of paper. Because the police station, they don't even have ink in the police station. Yeah. So I want to remind everyone that Rowley himself, what he had to say about crime when he was opposition leader. Can you put up the graphic, please? Look at this. As opposition leader, this is what he said. I think we are looking for the clip, the graphic. What's this, by? See, Kiva, what does it mean, by? Okay, listen, I'll tell you what it says. If they can't find it, that's okay. As opposition leader, and I quote Mr. Rowley, this is what he said. And if the government cannot deal with it, crime, then the government itself is part of the problem. That was when he was busy holding down Mr. Mane to run him out of office. Rowley. And if the government can't deal with it, crime, then the government itself is part of the problem. Rowley now as Prime Minister. There's up. This country is a violent one, and there is no switch to turn off murders and crimes. So then it was the government was part of the problem. Today is everybody else, the country just violent. That's Rowley and the PNM. They had all the plans and the solutions when they campaigned in 2015. And when he became Prime Minister, they completely forgot everything, and up to now they have no plans to deal with the crime. I think Arnold and I talked, or was it Nakhid, about the criminal enablers. It's the criminal enablers amongst them. So it's no surprise that they don't see crime as a problem. Always remember that crime is always on the increase. Anytime the PNM is in office, what happens? Crime goes up. Anytime. It took my government again. We brought serious crime down to the lowest in decades. And as soon as they came back, crime is really, really skyrocketing. My last comment is on food prices. The central bank report is telling us 17.3% increase from last year January to this year January. And they're not telling you the increase from since we left in 2015 to what it is now. It is much higher than the 17%. If you take 2015 when we last were there to now, I don't have those numbers there. My team didn't put those for me, but I know it for a fact. In fact, when we were doing the budget debate, we had compiled a table putting in 2015, how much for eggs, how much for milk, etc., etc. And then by the time the budget came in November last year, October, what those prices, and by now, it is even higher than they were last December. So brace yourself for more sufferation, continue to vote PNM, and that is what you'll continue to get. And my last set of comments to you is this. The Express, a few weeks ago, I talked about it already, exposed a case which said that Lion AG Ammo had failed to file witness statements in another multi-million-dollar lawsuit. This was a case against the DIC, Deposit Insurance Corporation. Prior to being appointed as AG by Mr. Rowley, Ammo was a lawyer for the state's Deposit Insurance Corporation, DIC. And he failed to file witness statements on behalf of his client, who was the DIC. Didn't file it. He was the lawyer. Did not file these witness statements. It was a claim brought by the former general manager of the DIC, Mr. Arjun Haripol, versus DIC. Mr. Haripol filed his claim on the 10th May 2018. The court gave a deadline for the parties to file witness statements by the 29th November 2018. Case filed 10th May 2018. The court gives its directions, file your witness statements by 29th November 2018. Mr. Ammo is a lawyer on record for the state, that is DIC. Not one, not two. They came, Ammo and his team, they came for 3 extensions, and the court granted extensions 3 times, down to saying, okay, your last date, 29 May 2019. Almost a whole year after. A whole year. He had an entire year to file witness statements, and not as AG, you know. He was a lawyer on record, you all understand? He was being paid by the government to represent the DIC in the courts. So from 10th May 2018 to 29 May 2019, a whole year, and not a single witness statement was filed. As his dangerous incompetence was not enough, the DIC wrote to Anna Ramlogan, who was the lawyer for Mr. Haripol, and they were offering to settle the case. Offering Mr. Ramlogan, let's settle this case. Look, we didn't file the witness statement, so you know what that means. They can't win the case. They cannot win the case. So, okay, we'll pay you, but there's a condition. We'll pay you, but you have to keep the settlement. Hide it. Don't tell nobody. Hush your mouth. It's called hush money. We'll settle the case, and I'm told that this hush money, they wanted to pay Mr. Haripol off, but he had to keep his mouth shut. In the space of 2 weeks, I am told, first they offered to give $1 million. Well, nobody budged. By the second week, they now say, no, God, take 2 million, man. Let me just settle this thing. But don't say nothing. I have some questions, serious questions, for Reggie Amor, attorney at law, to answer tonight on behalf of the taxpayers of Trinidad and Tobago. Given that you missed the deadline for filing witness statements in the matter, do you intend to indemnify? You know what that word means? Indemnify, reimburse, give back. Do you intend to indemnify the state for the damages and legal costs in the matter? Because it was his negligence. He's the one who failed. He was the lawyer in record being paid by the government. Failed to file it. So are you going to reimburse the taxpayers? So reimburse the state? It's you, the taxpayers' money, going down the drain. Second, how much money were you and your legal team paid in legal fees for doing that case, in which you failed to do your duty? How much money were you all paid? And therefore, are you now going to refund those fees to the taxpayers, to the DIC? Are you going to refund it because you didn't do your job? You can't take money on false pretenses. You can't keep it if you were paid how much, and are you going to give it back? Were you insured for professional negligence at a material time? And have you given notice to your insurers about this matter to make sure whether they would indemnify the DIC? Shouldn't be taxpayers' money for this. Whether it's 1 million or 2 that they come up with in the end, shouldn't be your taxpayers, or you can't buy egg again. Price of egg gone up about 3 times. Much less to buy milk and baby formula for your child. And then you are saying, take my tax dollars and pay for this. No. Mr. Amor, were you insured for professional negligence? And will your insurers now, as I say, indemnify us in this matter? Having regard to the apparent negligence of the entire legal team in this matter, have you briefed your former partner in chambers, Vanessa Gopal and Elena Araho, for the state in any matters, and if so, why? Have you briefed any of your juniors from your chambers since you became AG? And if the answer is yes, why? Because they were with you in that same case. Do you think the matter should be reported to the disciplinary committee of the Law Association, Mr. Amor? I have questions from Mr. Alvin Allaire of the DIC. Who approved the attempt by the DIC's lawyers to settle this matter out of court on the express condition that the payment remains confidential and not disclosed? Who approved that? Who approved for any legal team to go now to offer to settle this case? Whom? Was it the same AG Amor? Mr. Hilaire of DIC, answer us. Has the DIC requested a refund of the legal fees paid to Mr. Amor and his legal team in light of what seems to be clear negligence? Now, the last one, he said the file disappeared. No, he said the file get mixed up. You can't believe a word this man Limo says. Nothing. So are you going to refund, Mr. Hilaire? Are you going to ask Amor to refund the fees, any fees you paid for him? Has the DIC reported Amor to the disciplinary committee of the Law Association in this matter? And if not, why not? Has the DIC briefed Vanessa Gopal and Elena Arao in other legal matters? And if so, has any steps been taken to remove them and appoint new lawyers? Because they were also in this matter with Amor. Serious matter. Can't be briefing incompetent people that put you, the taxpayers, at risk. Does the DIC intend to sue Amor, Gopal and Arao for professional negligence to recover the monies it has to pay out in this matter because of their negligent failure to file the witness statements? So it's a very serious matter, and I hope these two very big men will find time to answer these questions on your behalf, on behalf of taxpayers. So my friends, I will not delay you much longer. I want to thank you for your attention, your attendance tonight. Look, you have to keep up the fight. We are on the road to victory. We are on the road to victory. Now is not a time to rest back. Don't let go the wheel. Now is not the time for that. You have to hit the ground running, and you have done it in other areas, in Tunapona and others. The other constituencies have to step up to the plate as well. Every constituency should be on the road, out on the road. Every constituency. The UNC has a plan. We have a team. Look at the state of our country today, after almost 8 years of this government. I call upon you to let us work together for the betterment of our nation, to provide a brighter future for our children. And I want to acknowledge with us here tonight, Councillor Meru, come a long way, thank you for being here. Joseph Tony, our coordinator for Granby. Hamlin Jailal, former chairman here in the constituency. I also see my colleague, former councillor, now Alderman Naz. Nice to see you here tonight. JJ and Mom's always here. All of you are here. Long live the UNC. UNC and proud. On the road to victory. I thank you very much.